Tamina, that would be great. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is well and enjoying the APRIGF event. Yesterday, I moderated a really interesting panel discussion on reducing discrimination for persons with disabilities, especially in the digital world. And today, I am focusing on, or not, we are focusing on reducing the gender gap in the digital space, particularly focusing on getting women and girls connected. Also for women and girls with disabilities. And when we talk about gender, we should not forget the various gender identities. And it's also not just about women. We also engage our male role models, and you're here as participants in various discussions. So I'm excited to be part of this panel. Together, you and I will be learning a lot. So before I start, the usual housekeeping rules, please mute your mic. If you have any concerns or questions or comments, please raise your hand or use the chat forum. One of our technical staff will be able to help you. For our friends with disabilities, please note that we also have captioning, live captioning, and Tina will be in charge. If you have any issues, let us know. And I'm happy to say that there's been so many ongoing initiatives happening that talk about reducing the digital gender divide. So let's start with our first speaker, Elena Sapong, Deputy Director of the Alliance for Affordable Internet Web Foundation, who will provide an overview of the work we're doing in Web Foundation and how this sort of aligns to the session that we're talking about today. Elena, over to you.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you so much. And what an exciting time to be here. So there's just so much going on, and I've been following some of the sessions happening, and I can see that the conversations are so stimulating, and there's so much to learn. So I'm really happy to be here. So we know that around the world, there are so many people who are unconnected. In fact, there are over 3.5 billion people who are not connected to the internet. And during the time of COVID-19, it's actually projected to be much higher. And there is a segment of people within that group that are most likely to be left behind. They tend to be women. So we've been focusing on how to close the digital gender divide in many ways. Sadly, there are two regions that contribute to the high number of the unconnected. Where the digital gender divide is most stark is in South Asia, as you can see from this visual. You can see that the mobile internet penetration across countries is really stark when you look at various countries within the Asia region, with Bangladesh and Pakistan having some of the highest digital gender divide. When it comes to mobile internet users, it's quite similar as well. And so there is a need to take urgent action to close the digital gender divide. Why? Because when you want to develop and get universal broadband for everyone, you cannot leave this group of people who are most important to our economy, who tend to be a household, looking after families, who tend to be working in SMEs. You cannot leave them behind. They are a potential for development, a potential to grow your economy, a potential to make a transformation across the world. So it's important to make sure that we gather them in our policy making, making sure that our policies are focused on are gender-centric and gender-friendly, and in many ways as well. So one thing we've been doing at the Alliance for Affordable Internet and at the Web Foundation is to work with governments in a hands-on, practical, interactive way to bring gender-focused policies into action, and to ensure that they capture all the issues that we would like to see, looking at the REACT framework, which looks at the rights of women, look at education and empowerment, affordable and meaningful access, relevant content which is co-created with women, and then also targets which can be measured and which you can also account for. And so we use different tools to do this. We can use the gender audits and the gender scorecard, which you're going to see in action very soon. So at the Web Foundation, we are not just sitting back, we are rolling up our sleeves. We have developed this framework that we're working with, but more importantly, we've been working with policymakers in workshop style, e-skills workshop, in order to impart this knowledge and see how this is this also goes into action and delivers the results that we see. So we're very excited to be here because we're also going to be launching one of the scorecards, so you can see that in action. And you also hear from two colleagues. You hear from Lisa and you hear from Tamina as well, who have been working with some of these tools, and it can show how it has been very practical in their countries. So welcome to this session, and thank you so much. And we really look forward to hearing from you and listening to your suggestions and your questions and your comments. Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you so much, Alana, for setting the scene for this session. Now I would like to invite Tamina, who is going to also launch the Bangladesh Gender Scorecards. Tamina, over to you, please. Tamina?
Sorry, yes, thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Okay, all right. I understand I've got 7 minutes. So good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me to do a presentation or to provide you a brief overview of the results of the Bangladesh scorecard. This is an exercise which was taken forward with support from Worldwide Web Foundation in Bangladesh, and I led the exercise, which is called the Gender Digital Divide Audit Bangladesh Scorecard. Bangladesh is a country which has got about 65% internet access in the country, which comes to about 10 crore of the population. However, and we've also seen that there are growing successes in terms of the digital Bangladesh framework that the government has put together, and they include all kinds of services, being e-services in terms of health, education, but also most recently during COVID time, we've also seen the virtual courts being in operation. However, at the same time, we've also found in our study that there does exist quite in several areas, quite significant gender digital divide. And if I may just very quickly tell the framework of the study, we looked at 14 indicators across 5 clusters. They included internet access and women's empowerment. They also included affordability, digital skills and education, relevant content services, and online safety. And across 14 indicators in these clusters, we were able to score the results based on studies, with the study included the review of existing data, most recent data provided by various stakeholders and research agencies globally working and also focusing in Bangladesh. Also, we were able to do interviews, conduct focus group discussions, as well as consult with stakeholders both in the CSOs, civil society organizations, as well as those within the government, for example, in the ICT division and broadly. So this was the methodology. I will provide, just give me a second. Are you able to see the PowerPoint?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, all right. So so the methodology, as I have explained, included, civil society consultations, stakeholders, research, and so on, and scoring in consultation with civil society organizations, etc. So the scores, Bangladesh received a total score of 39% out of 50, which is if we compare with some of the regions in Bangladesh and others, they are Myanmar is slightly higher. India is actually slightly lower. So we are sort of with our peers in a kind of same stage, we would say. In terms of internet access, which is the first cluster, we looked at, it is called internet access and women's empowerment. However, we looked at number of indicators. They included national data collection. They included women's. Hello, if I may say, someone's microphone is
Yes, Tamina, sorry. Please turn off your mic. Switch off your mic. Mute. Thank you.
Okay,
people.
thank you very much. Yes, in terms of, on internet access, we looked at empowering use of the web, gender gap in internet access, women's internet access, rural and urban gaps, and national data collection, as well as ICT strategies and policies. I will sort of provide you some findings on that, but on internet access, together on that, Bangladesh scored 3.10, and the results are that on 16% of women use mobile internet in the country against 33% of the men. This brings the highest gender gap of 106% in the region, with a huge percentage of women less likely to use internet services, internet than men. 86% of men in Bangladesh own a mobile phone, while 61% of women have one. The country's gender gap in this respect is 29%. If we look at it, however, in terms of certain strategies, we also found that Bangladesh has a plethora of strategies. We have the broadband policy, we have ICT policy, we have the education policies, etc., all of which focus on internet access, etc. But and to some extent, digital divide. However, gender digital divide is very significantly missed out in most of these policies, and we have highlighted that. If we look at gender disaggregated data, once again, we looked at various studies. We looked at the BBS, Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics data. We looked at WSIS reports, and we found that a significant, I would say, a glaring gap in terms of gender disaggregated data on gender digital divide. In 2018, 19 cases, there were about 18 cases on WSIS report. Not a single one of them addressed gender digital divide. So that is the nature of, looking at things from a gender lens. If we come to the next cluster, let's look at affordability. How do we do on affordability? Bangladesh, again, we can see that it takes about 3.63 of the average income to buy 1 GB mobile data in Bangladesh. So Bangladesh actually lags behind other countries in terms of the cost of data has been cited as, and this cost of data has been cited as a primary limitation to greater use by 30% of internet users in Bangladesh. And Bangladesh also lags behind other countries in terms of having an effective broadband strategy. Moving on to digital skills and education, we found that 86% of the secondary school students have multimedia and 93% computer and 93% computer facilities. However, other studies have said that 18 to 35% of students have no access to internet at school, and about almost 9 to 10% no access at home. And that brings notably to 20% of girls who do not have access to digital devices in schools, which is more than twice the proportion of boys. 50% of all teachers are trained in operating multimedia classrooms, which is a good thing. And in terms of women comprising ICT forces, it's 16% of women comprise ICT forces. This is not surprising, because in the region and globally also, the number of percentage of women in ICT forces are much less. Looking at relevant content, we found this is quite interesting, that despite actually women not having less access to digital devices, knowledge about internet awareness is almost similar to men as compared to women, which is 73% and 71% respectively in Bangladesh. Also, we found abundant web-powered ICT information that are available in Bangla, which is the local language, on subjects such as sexual and reproductive health, combating violence against women and children, preventing sexual harassment, early marriage, and use of mobile financial services. There we found very innovative projects such as Tuttu Apa, Maya Apa, which are being used by women on various of these topics. There is also a 28% gender gap in owning a digital access point or mobile financial services. We found that of the total registered MFS users, 18% are women and 30% are men. However, that is to say that almost 31% of women actually directly or indirectly use digital mobile services, which is that if there is a mobile smartphone within the family, that is being used even if women do not singularly possess one themselves. And finally, in terms of online violence, we found that women are disproportionately targeted by online violence and harassment. 73% of women users of online space have faced some form of violence, and this number is on the rise. 80% of victims of online violence do not report crimes, and 60% do not know how to seek help. Existing laws relating to violence against women are not sufficient to provide safeguards against violence against women. And so, coming on, closing the gender gap, what can be done? First of all, the digital Bangladesh framework needs to be evaluated from a gender lens. Secondly, we also think that in terms of strengthening existing capacity for collecting and reporting national data, disaggregated ICT related data in terms of impact of measures for improving women's affordability, improved e-services, and safe access to internet. If we don't have disaggregated data in these areas, it will be very difficult for policymakers to move forward or to take decisions. So this is a major area which requires attention. Government should also step up reforms to reduce the price of broadband, which we have seen, mobile data for all, with a targeted approach to communities and skilling up women in the informal sector, ensuring greater access to internet and devices for women and girls in education, in jobs, also for those so that they can access mobile financial services. Because we have found that the absence of device cuts across. Even if we look at students, girl students, that there is a gap there. If you look at women trying to access financial services, there is a gap of mobile devices. So this is cutting across. And finally, of course, online violence must be addressed, including reviewing of existing mechanisms to formulate necessary reforms for greater protection online of women and girls. Thank you very much. I hope I have completed it in 7 minutes.
It's okay. Thank you so much, Tamina. That was actually great. So 16% of women use mobile internet in the country against 33% of men, if I'm correct. That means we really need to close the gender gap. So thank you for that overview from Bangladesh. But now let's go on to Lisa, who's going to provide an overview and gender lens for Philippines. Lisa, over to you. And Tamina, can I ask you to please stop sharing your
Sure.
presentation? Thank you so much. Perfect. Lisa, over to you.
Okay. So thanks everyone, and thank you, Tamina, for that presentation. So my presentation is similar to Tamina. It's just that we did the scorecard. We launched it in 2017. But what I will be presenting here would be new views today. There have been some developments, of course, when it comes to how it is in the Philippines. We also based sorry, I got. We also based our presentation. Okay, so sorry, my something's wrong with my screen. It's not.
You don't.
Okay.
Would you be? It's okay.
Yeah, let me just. Okay.
Or you can stop sharing and then just open your PowerPoint on your desktop, and you don't have to worry about sharing it with the participants if it's a problem with Zoom.
Yeah, I think I'm having a problem here right now. Sorry,
Yeah.
I will just, yeah, I think Rebecca can. Okay,
we can just,
sorry for that.
Stop it. Yeah, you can stop it and then you can just speak. Don't worry. Great, thank you.
Okay, I think my, 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 my presentation is actually with uh, Rebecca, so she can, it can be shared there. Okay, so if we can go to the second slide already. So what we did was similar to what Tamina and the other partners did. So on a scale of 1 to 10, we had indicators. But we focused on issues on access, affordability, digital skills and education, relevant content, and preventing gender-based violence. And if you can see, the overall score for the Philippines is 50%. So actually, when it comes to the Philippines, there's actually more or less parity when it comes to using the internet between men and women. So next slide, please. So in terms of integrating gender in the country, before in 2017, we only scored a 4, but during the second half of 2017, the Philippines already came up with a national broadband plan. However, it did not mention gender at all. And we feel that this is important because how do you have policies if you're not including women? And then there is actually a survey that was conducted in the Philippines just last year about how Filipino women are using the internet. According to the survey, 31% use social media to, just to like or promote materials related to political or social issues. And only 2% use it to encourage other people to take action on important political or social issues. And only 1% use it to encourage people to vote. And that says something already about how women are actually using the internet. And if we go back to the Sustainable Development Goals, it says that we can use technology actually to promote women empowerment and gender equality. So on the next slide, we also took we also looked at affordability and speed of global internet. So, unfortunately, if you look at the how of that speed of internet in the Philippines, we are lagging behind a lot of countries. Something should have been done about it. Just a few days ago, I tested my computer speed using my Globe at Home prepaid, and my download speed was only 6.02 Mbps. Upload speed was 3.0 Mbps. However, with internet speed averaging like that, 3 to 7 Mbps, unfortunately, our secretary of the Department of ICT said that the Philippines is actually not doing badly when it comes to speed. Of course, he backtracked later after drawing flack from the public with his remarks. With regards to costs, the Alliance for Affordable Internet has said that it's subscription for broadband is actually more expensive when it comes to archipelagos like the Philippines, and we are actually one of the highest in terms of in ASEAN in terms of prices of ICT. Next, please. Of course, when we talk about inclusive digital literacy, it used to be the Department of Science and Technology providing all these skills, but there has been the Department of Information and Communications Technology has been established, and they have taken over. Until last year, actually, only 26% of 46,000 public schools have access to the internet. But in fairness, when you look at it, this during COVID, free public Wi-Fi has increased. I checked it actually yesterday. There's 5,232 entries, and I'm glad to note that there were several health offices, hospitals, as well as public and elementary and high schools, which were added into the list. And with COVID, this is very important because people are getting connected at this crucial time. Next, please. And next slide, please. Yeah, education in the time of COVID, of course, is important because the Philippines is just like many other countries shifting already to online classes. But I don't know, are we really ready? Because there are still some areas that are finding it difficult to connect. That's why some people have to climb mountains, have to climb trees in order to get connectivity. And I hope that this is something that can be addressed. Next slide, please. When we talk about gender audit of government agencies, what FMA did was to conduct an audit of the different websites of government agencies. 21 websites were looked into, and we found that for most part, they don't really, just as it is in Bangladesh, no gender disaggregated is collected from government websites, and very small amount of that data that is collected is not even accessible. So unfortunately, the issue of gender is only highlighted during Women's Month, which is March, I mean. So hopefully that would improve as well. And then next slide, please. When it comes to the issue of gender-based violence, we have all these laws that women can use. We have the Photo and Video Voyeurism Act, Cybercrime Prevention Act, Data Privacy Act. And recently, the Philippines also passed the Safe Spaces Act. However, when you look at laws, they should be implemented. Implementation is another matter. And during the COVID times, when it started in March, there has been an increase actually in the reported cases of violence against women and children, according to our Philippine National Police. And this is a concern for us. FMA, my organization, has also been mapping cases of online gender-based violence. And we have seen an increase of also in the reporting of cases of online gender-based violence as against to cases last year. So what I'm saying is overall, there have been some improvements, but there were also a few setbacks. But we hope that this can be addressed. It's important that we ensure there's always digital inclusion, gender equality, and that women as well benefit from the development brought about by technology, that the barriers are being addressed, and that policies reflect the needs of everyone that they serve, and that they serve the public interest. So thank you. Back to you, Andrew.
Great. Thank you so much, Lisa. It's interesting to see that there's 26% of public schools has access to internet. And during COVID, they also had access to the public Wi-Fi and also community networks. So that's great to hear. But with that also comes cyber issues and privacy issues that we can talk about later. So now I'll get some reaction from our colleague in Bangladesh, A2I, Shefatul. If you could just share your thoughts on the gender scorecards, please. Thank you.
So hello, am I audible to everyone?
Hello.
Thank you, Anju. So first of all, thank you all of you to invite me in this Pacific Internet Governance Forum, and greetings from Bangladesh. And thank Ms. Tamina Rahman for inviting me also in this seminar. So what I was found in this presentation and in the study of Gender Digital Divide Scorecard, actually this was a very innovative study from my bench, and what we found actually this was the findings that Tamina presents. I was actually I totally agreed with the findings, because these findings actually we are in the Bangladesh, every scenario is really opened up with these findings. So the findings actually the methodology was very transparent from very beginning, and there was a scope to participate from the government end, and actually I participate from the very beginning of this study after Tamina invited. So there was a good presentation. There was a very good scope of working with this presentation. So the scoring was very transparent and consensus from our point of view, and there was 5 mini workshop actually held during this pandemic, and we are able to participate through online. And from the government perspective, as a change agent, we'd like to carry forward these findings so that the policy can be formulated according to this. And from government end, I should say that this type of study should be conducted regularly so that government can check the results and findings to decrease the gender gap in the digital arena. And definitely, I'd like to thank everyone to give the access and the floor to talk with this area. And thank you all, and thank you, Anju, again for giving and calling me in this session. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much for that intervention. Now I would like to get Benz to say a few words on behalf of the Philippines and the government. Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much for this opportunity. Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and greetings from the DICT from the Republic of the Philippines. Very interesting discussions and presentation. Commendations to the speakers, and let me express my gratitude for inviting yours truly to provide my take in this specific topic related to inclusive governance. Let me just drive the discussion towards two key points that governments are considering in this overarching topic of gender and ICT. First, on the function of democratized access to the internet, again, wireless mobile data connectivity is regarded, as studies suggest, to be the mode by which operators are able to onboard the remaining percentage of the unconnected population. That is to say that while advanced and integrated fiber deployments are key to ensuring sustainability of the digital economy, cheaper, prepaid, and on-demand connectivity through promos or bundled deals or sometimes zero-access schemes make sense in semi-urbanized areas. While on the other hand, free Wi-Fi and satellite communications may be the trend moving forward for geographically isolated communities. The panel has discussed invaluable metrics as we assess and monitor projects with the lens of gender and development, such as the REACT framework. Inclusion, of course, is a necessary benchmark, but it remains to be the first of many other steps in this multi-threaded approach in promoting the transition to a digital economy, most especially in this pandemic. Following this, let me propose another point that may be considered in engaging topics that cross in between the fields of human rights, data privacy, and gender inclusion, which is the need to establish identity. In several studies, having a national ID system in place, although it should not be regarded as a barrier to accessing the internet and telecommunication services, it is a clear step in the right direction towards ensuring a safe space that prioritizes and espouses accountability, especially in this age behind the screen. In some use cases wherein the Philippines is looking into, national ID paired with telecommunications applications has driven mobile internet penetration and, in the greater scheme of things, participation in the digital economy for all types of gender, all scopes of life, etc. More so needed in the new normal. To sum up this reaction, may I just mention that sector-specific findings on the scorecard relating to Bangladesh and the Philippines indeed reveal several policy gaps and challenges that need to be addressed, such as affordability and speed. The various stakeholder perspectives we have heard today on gender-related matters and complementary ICT initiatives are significant contributors to the growing relevance of organizations represented today by our speakers and, of course, the attendees in this forum, and, of course, to the evolving landscape of internet users, its governance, and in the future. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you so much, Ben. That was a great reaction from Bangladesh and Philippines. And now I'd like to open the floor to our participants. If you could raise your hand on the Zoom feature. Otherwise, you can please type in your question or comment on the chat forum. Anyone? There's some direct messages coming to me. Okay, I hope I can pronounce your name properly, so forgive me if I can't. I'll give the floor to Chike.
Hi, hello, I'm from the Philippines. Thank you to everyone who's kind of spoken. I was just kind of I wanted to raise a question around the point that was made around connectivity and internet access to national ID, especially because we're talking about the gender digital divide. And Andrew, earlier on, you said that, you know, when you talk about gender, we're not just talking about men and women. We're also talking about all gender identities. No, so I want to connect it to I guess the point where, for example, in Facebook, when Facebook wanted to do real name policy on Facebook, the only time that they listened to two sectors. One was the sector of trans individuals, because the real names don't reflect their identity. The second one, they also listen to the sector of like people who are experiencing domestic violence. And I wanted to point it out that there's a danger for me in connecting national ID systems to internet connectivity, precisely for the same reasons why, you know, why real name policies on Facebook is kind of like problematic as well. Like, because it doesn't it and I think that it's reflected there. So I think on the topic of like gender digital divide, I don't think connecting those two concepts will actually solve the gender digital divide. Kind of like a national ID system won't necessarily mean that all genders will have access. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Great, no, that's a really good point. I will get maybe Tamina to say a few words, and then Lisa. Tamina? If not, then Lisa, do you have anything to add to that?
Actually, I agree with Chikai. You don't really need to identify yourself sometimes when you connect. Actually, for many women, especially those who are in difficult situations, sometimes they need to go online and be anonymous. So I don't think that you know, connecting your identity with being with before being able to use a platform or before being connected is that crucial. We need to connect everyone, and we have to understand that we have different needs. That's why I agree with Chikai.
Okay, Chikai. Okay, thank you. Tamina, would you like to add?
Yes, I think I agree with Chikai, and also for the need for women to express online without fear or any kind of intimidation. I think this is another area which we need to be aware of, because we've seen in Bangladesh and many other countries that online violence against women is an emerging field, and we've seen that several cases where women have actually gone through psychological issues, have shut down from internet completely because of cyber stalking and harassment. So these are also issues that we need to address. And in this regard, we also think that, you know, organizations who are working on cyber security issues, but also on online expression, need to have trainings or orientation programs on educating actually on to children of adolescent age, girls of adolescent age, and also women, on how to protect themselves while they are fully connecting online.
Great. Thank you so much for the great response. Shike, I hope you are happy with that response. We'll have to go to the next participant. And I see Swaran, you've raised your hand. Please go ahead and ask your question or comment.
Hello, everyone. I must say, wonderful initiatives. And while these ladies were discussing about the initiatives, the scorecards in particular, I think it's quite amazing, and we might want to try it out in the Pacific as well. So it's something that I'm thinking of embarking into, because once you have the indicators, you are actually measuring. So you have a gauge, you have measurement, and then you've got thresholds, and you'll know how much is what and what needs to be avoided, right? So I just wanted to know, when you did this project, I mean, how long it took you, and are there any particular pitfalls that that you think we must avoid? I mean, now if I'm thinking about embarking into this, is there any advice that you'd like to give to us, keeping in mind that in Fiji we have less than 1 million population, but we have around 300 islands, and there's lots of women who live in the rural areas who do not have access to information, do not have access to smartphones. So what advice would you like to give to us if we were to do something similar in the Pacific?
Great. Thank you so much, Swaran. That's a good question. And I'm from Fiji as well, so I would have the same question as well. For Tamina, let's start with you to respond. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think this is such such an important question. You know, she asked the question of the timeline needed for such studies and what pitfalls that may happen and what to take precautions with. I think first of all, I would say the framework of the study that has been developed by World Wide Web Foundation is an absolutely excellent, brilliant one, I would say, because it just captures the definition of gender digital divide in 5 clusters and 14 indicators. And this is the first challenge that one has to overcome when one has to do any study, that you define your framework very, very clearly and precisely. And this has already been done for us. So my first advice would be for any researcher or any country who would wish to do this is to actually internalize the framework themselves, understand the methodology very clearly, and also the methodology is very clear, how to do the scoring and what steps need to be taken. So I think it is absolutely crucial that any new initiative should go through the methodology, read them, internalize them if necessary, talk to Elena or others who had developed this framework. Secondly, I would say one of the challenges is, of course, that connecting with the right people in the government. I think this is a challenge for the study because while we want to do a digital gender divide study, from a civil society point of view, we also want the voices of the government to be heard, voices of critical stakeholders within the government, so that they share our findings and are able to input. So I think this is something one needs to do from a very initial stage, that I identify the key critical agency which is responsible for ICT work, etc., and make those connections, go and meet them, maybe have others to facilitate those meetings and sell to them this methodology, provide orientations to them, etc., so that they feel comfortable with the methodology. Thirdly, I would say, yes, of course, it's the desk-based data is very important. So, identify key studies, particularly try and identify those which are more recent, because the recent data will provide you with the analysis that you want to do over a certain period that you're looking at. If you're looking at 2020, you'd want to look at data which is 18, 19, 20, not go beyond that. So that's another methodology. And I would say finally that, have a consultation process where there is consensus on the scoring, because civil society organizations and experts will do a scoring, but we also need to have government input into it and to arrive at a consensus on the story, because at the end of the day, we want policymakers and the government to take initiatives forward and to take the lessons learned from the study. This would be a few things that I would advise. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tamina. I'm going to get Christina to say a few words, because you made a really interesting point on the chat forum. Please, Christina.
Thank you for this moment, Andrew. And again, good afternoon for everyone. I just want to make some comments about the issue on anonymity for women. So anyone who works with survivors of violence against women already know that privacy is very crucial for their survival and healing. And privacy allows survivors to live without the constant fear that their abuser is watching their every step of lurking behind every corner. So there are some instances that their partners are browsing the online activity of these women. And as abusers, they use surveillance to create such fear. It also allows them to seek help, access justice, and rebuild their lives. With the increasing pervasiveness of digital technology, privacy is becoming more difficult to maintain, and this puts survivors of intimate partner violence and abuse at risk. Whether they experience physical or psychological violence from their partner or a stranger, sometimes the only way they can lessen this risk is through the use of online anonymity. And it's very important this for women. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you so much, Christina. That's a really good point. So there is a comment from Joselito. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Would you like to share your thoughts about national ID? No, okay, maybe not. Okay, so do we have any other questions from the participants? Anyone to raise their hand? Okay, I think, oh, there is a comment regarding Myanmar. Please feel free to use the mic, because we also have to realize that there are persons with disability who cannot read. So I would welcome you to say a few words. Thank you. Hayashan?
Okay, my name is A. Jensen and I'm from Myanmar. And their organization, there are many online platforms like for open for women to voice out their experiences, how they discriminate. Because in Myanmar, because of the tradition and culture, many women are being discriminated, not only by strangers or male, but also by their family members or older women because of the generation gap. So nowadays, because of these online platforms, they can share their experiences and educate many other young women. I think that's a very good way to improve. Thank you.
Great, that's a good comment. Can I get Tamina or Lisa to respond to that, or any other comments that came through chat forum? But just please be mindful that we're running out of time as well, because 15 minutes, 12 minutes. Thanks.
Okay, just a quick response from Myanmar. I'm glad that there's a platform that women can use to share information and to share experiences. We are experiencing that as well in the Philippines. Platforms and so even social media platforms are being used by women to share experiences and to get solidarity from other women as well as to get help, and that is good.
Thanks, Lisa. Tamina, would you like to share?
I think I'll take this opportunity to highlight another issue which we have not addressed that much, that there is also, in terms of gender divide, an urban and rural gender divide. So I think this is an issue that we need to consider, that while we're looking at access to the internet and women's participation, rural women in several countries have less access to the internet because of the internet speed and connectivity, but also in terms of devices. But Bangladesh is a very unique case study where women have overcome some of these challenges and have used mobile financial services for using the internet, even though they don't own a device. So I think it would be good to look in studies to see what are those urban and rural dimensions in terms of gender digital divide.
Great, thank you, Tamina. I will just get Benz and Shafatul to just react to the comments that we received from our participants. 1 minute or less, please. Benz, would you like to add?
Yeah, again, thank you very much for the comments and the reactions. There are a lot of things to consider in this discussion space, and the comments and the reactions have been very valuable inputs. Although I think I've raised some important points on the national ID. That is another very deep discussion space that we need to also put our thought into. Thank you very much.
Great. Shafatul, would you like to add? Okay. I think we're good. All right, so I think we're just got, I think, 10 minutes left. Can you all hear me? Yeah, okay. We've got 10 minutes left, so maybe I will just get Tamina and Lisa, if you could just provide one key message to all the participants that are sitting here, because they'll go back to their governments, they'll go back to their civil society. What is the one key message you want to share with them so that they will address this?
Okay, we also need to collaborate with our government agencies. We from civil society may have different perspectives. We're open to discussions with them, and we can both develop skills together.
Okay. Tamina?
Yes, I think a key message to our government should be that many of them are very keen to have either digital Bangladesh or digital India and go into a huge process of digitalization, and and to have a very successful digitalization process, they do need to take into account digital divide, and most importantly, gender digital divide. If women don't have access to the internet and to the services and to everything that the government is trying to provide, that would defeat the purpose of development.
Great. Thank you for that. So I just wanted to mention that when we working on reducing the gender gap, I think it's important that we look at design gender responsive policy making. So if you could also, talk to your governments, your civil societies, and also try to address it from a multi-stakeholder approach so that you bring everyone on board. And like I said earlier, that gender identities, we have to keep in mind with the different gender identities. And also it's about also bringing your male role models and your male colleagues and counterparts to the discussions when you're trying to bridge this gender divide. So now I will get Elena to say a few words in terms of, the way forward and the next steps and what we're doing and how we can also involve many of you in our discussions.
Thank you, Andrew. This has been such a stimulating conversation. I was just taking a lot of notes as we went along. And three things that have really struck me was the importance of national broadband plans. We've talked about, I heard that coming through from Bangladesh and from Philippines, where we look at national broadband plans are there they're being developed, but they are not capturing the essence of gender throughout. And I think that is where we can add value. That's where in our interactions with government, we need to be there at the table when the conversations are happening, right from the start, when the policies are being developed. And so that it's not just confined to a target, but it is woven through in terms of even the consultations, making sure you have the right people in the room, having conversations with government and policymakers to make a difference. So it's very important. We should start looking at the national broadband policy development process in our countries and see how we can slot ourselves and look for the right ministries as an entry point to be able to engage government. It's very, very important. The other thing that also stuck with me was there were questions about the gender, how the gender scorecard is done, how gender audits can be done. We have a very important tool in the React framework, which is on our website, and I think we can drop the link in the show in the notes here as well, where you can look at the React framework, and we'll be very happy to help. You can reach out to us where we can help you, and even learn from Tamina and Lisa, who have actually used the framework, and see how that can also be applied. A very, very important framework, very simplified, and one that we've seen the government really react positively to. Finally, it's about the importance of having safe spaces online. We're talking about affordability, we're talking about access, but we can't do this without tackling the issue of online gender-based violence. And I can see that coming through even in what people are speaking about, how safety, anonymity online, protecting views online is very, very important. What is the essence of having everybody being connected, but you don't feel safe online? So we need to tackle this, and I think this is where the conversation needs to go. who can do this. There are times where civil society can play a role. Private sector definitely needs to be held to account in terms of the platforms, but also governments need to understand the issue so that they can provide the right policies. And collaboration is going to be very key in this space. So we started the conversation. This is just a first step. We are really, really open and very happy to help in many ways. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Elena. You know, we actually have, oh, is that a warning again? We actually have 5 minutes. If I look at the timer, I will just invite maybe one of the participants. I can see Sarbani, and she's done quite a lot of work on community networks and also APC gender work. Would you like to share?
Yes. Hi, Andrew. It was a very nice session today, and I'm very happy to be a part of this session. So I agree with what Tamina mentioned, that if we look into the gender digital divide in the rural and the urban areas, the rural areas will show a very different picture because there is no, they don't have access to smartphones. The other dynamics play a role in the rural areas. Like, for example, in India, caste plays a very important role. So women from the lower caste cannot come into the higher caste domain for, like, if the Wi-Fi access point is kept in a location where the higher caste people are there, they can't come into that location to access the access points. So, but what I would like to, and my work in this domain for the past many years has been to enable women to sort of engage with the connectivity in a meaningful manner, by which they can start earning some income out of that connectivity. So in the sense that we are not even trying to make them digitally literate, trying to make them learn English or things of that sort, but whatever they have with them, whatever knowledge they have with them, that is how they can earn something out of that connectivity. And these women being, and I have seen that we empower them with very basic things like, you know, AAPS, Aadhaar enabled payment system, biometric device, and they can become banking correspondents for the people in the village. So these small aspects could be a very big step in bridging the gender digital divide in rural areas. I work in the domain of community networks, seeding community networks in very rural, remote villages that have absolutely no connectivity. But I also look into how there is no relevance of online connectivity. There can be an offline thing which is very equal to the online, it's very equivalent to the online domain for women. So that when women eventually, when they come online, when there is connectivity, when they get the money, they are online, they are sort of, they know that what are the things that they should really take into account when they have to be online. Like, for example, the issues on privacy and security that others have mentioned. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I was just going to tell you that we might get cut off, but thank you. That was great intervention, and I know that this is why we call it interactive and discussion format. Yes. There's so many things that are going on in terms of, you know, doing gender initiatives and, you know, reducing gender divide, but we have only 1 minute left, so I would like to invite everyone to just switch on their video, because I'm really happy that everyone got to share. And, you know, even if you didn't get to share, please turn on your video, because I'm sure you found the information really good. Perfect. I will give you at 5 seconds. All right, I'm going to, great. I can see all the lovely faces that didn't even share their thoughts. Okay. I will take just a sec. Smile. Okay, can you give me a sec, because you know it takes a while for this. Okay. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. One more.
Andrew, you've been a great host.
Yes, I would agree that both Elena and Anju have been a great host, and Lisa, I thank Lisa and all the commentators who made comments. They've been very useful, and we can follow up on them.
23 seconds, so thank you so much and take care. And let's continue the discussion. We can also provide our contact through the Secretariat.
Yes, let's continue the discussion.
12 seconds, 10 seconds. They were going to turn it off. Bye.
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 Happy New Year.